This video is brought to you by SwiftUI Camp. If you want to master SwiftUI in 4 weeks, go ahead and check it out. The link is in the description. It's at store.rebeloper.com/SwiftUI Camp April. We still got a few more days and free seats left. Go ahead and check it out if you want to master SwiftUI in 4 weeks. This is the best way of doing it. Today, I am going to show you a better way of using lists, because lists are really powerful, but sometimes the basic, like the standard UI that come with lists is not what we want. I would rather prefer a mix and blend of list and scroll view, but of course there isn't any. So today I'm going to build out one from scratch, and I'm going to put it on my GitHub GitHub account as a Swift package, so you can use it whenever you'd like to. So what I have done here is just started off a brand new Xcode project to build this list alternative. I'm calling it a role. So we are going to build out this view that is going to remove all of the UI that usually comes with Swift UI's list, and is going to behave like a scroll view, a vertical scroll view, and it's going to have all of the advantages of a list, like the on-delete view modifier, swipe actions, and all of that good stuff, like the refreshable that comes with SwiftUI's list. So let's take a look a little bit at this demo project. I'm just going to go through what I have over here. Also, make sure to check it out on my GitHub account. It's readily, freely available. So I just started off, just added the navigation stack for the content view, and then I have this simple list view where I'm going to show you how you can actually do this. And then I'm going to build out this role and put it on GitHub as a Swift package. So this is the simple list view. This is where we are going to start. Make sure to check out also the chapters on the timeline. And then we have the content view. On the content view, I kind of have the same thing, but some extra stuff like an edit button, which we are going to talk about, and then a safe area inset with a selection for our data, and then two types of cells, a bindable cell and a simple cell for that person, because we are having a person model. Is just a name, and it is identifiable and hashable, and we have our data right over here and a selection. And then we have role plus array, an extension on array. I just just wanted to make a simple extension to remove an element from an array of elements, basically just checking if an index is for that element, and then with an animation, the SwiftUI animation is just removing it from that array. Seems pretty straightforward. I just didn't want to waste time typing that out. And then we are also going to create this on-delete functionality, because the default on delete will actually not work if we add all of these humidifiers into our role view. And currently, you see, I have added quite a lot of stuff. I'm going to get into the details when we get to this view, but basically we just have some properties, an initializer, some private properties, and the body for that view, and inside the group if it uses the selection or not. Okay, so first things first, let's see how can we make this standard list into a list that has really customizable cells, because now you can see it's really predefined for us. And this is good if you just want to use the standard iOS design, but maybe you don't. Maybe you have a really custom cell that you want to use. Maybe you have a background color like you have here, background orange. We can't see that. So let's start doing this manually, and then we are going to move onto the role. So first, that we can do first thing is just set the list style to plain. So that will remove a lot of predefined stuff. So dot list style dot plain. Okay. So yeah, You can see there's quite a lot of changes. It looks kind of okay, but we still have a lot of problems with the cells, but at least the background is showing as expected. Now, the next one is to just set the list row background. You have to set it. It's not just removing it. You are going to set this to clear, so this orange would just peek through. So list row background, and we are going to set a color of clear. Okay, as you can see now, it's just basically clear. We can just see through the cells background. I'm calling it cells. Make sure that you add this on the for each, and then the list style is on the list. Yeah, that's a little bit complicated. That's why we're having this video. Next up, we want to remove all of these insets. You see, it's just a little bit of padding right over here and over here. There's the default padding. We want to remove that, and that is dot list row inset. And then let's just use a dot init top 0, leading 0, bottom 0, trailing 0. Okay, now we got that. Still, we have this list row separator. Dot list row separator visibility, and then just set this to hidden. And that is just going to hide it. Now, we set the top and the bottom list row insets to be 0, but if you are going to have your experiments with this, you will see that still a default kind of spacing padding between these cells is still applied. I have tried hours upon hours to fix this and how to come up with a better idea of removing that kind of spacing between those cells. I could not find any solutions. Please, if you have one, go ahead and share it down in the comments. But it looks really nice, by the way, at this moment. And basically, this is what you want to add. Then, of course, there is another option, like with selection, and that goes into the lists initializer. And then there's on move, there's on delete, there is a swipe action, a view modifier, you know. There's quite a lot, but this is kind of the basics. I just wanted to show you that it's doable manually, but then you have to do it again and again in all of your projects. So now let's build out this role. So here it is. We have two types that we want to add in here, a data and a cell. Now the data is a random access collection and mutable collection, basically an array. And then the data's element, it has to be identifiable and hashable to all of these moves, on deletes would work, which in our case it is, so identifiable and hashable. And then the cell is of type of view. We are going to bind the data. We are going to have a view builder of cell with a binding when we are going to bind it. And then we are going to have a selection. Now, we have this data selection, this kind of initializer where we have a nil value for the selection if we are not interested in the selection. Now the cool part here is that we are not relying on having a list and inside the list a for each and then having this cell right over here. We are injecting the cell right over here on the initializer, which will be really, really nice. Okay, and then we have this uses selection. Now, how do we know if it's uses selection? Well, if the selection is a constant if the selection is nil, this one, then we are just going to set this to an empty one, and also we are going to set this to false. And we have a selection IDs, which is a set of data element IDs. That's why it needs to be identifiable. This is kind of about the selection in the list. When I'm going to get to that part of the code, I'm going to show you why we are actually having a selection ID and not the selected item. Okay, so that's kind of what this file does currently. Now, let's start off with this uses select. Well, actually, both of them will need the list style. So let's just have it on here. So list style of dot plain, because we are going to have two lists right over here, uses selection and otherwise, if it's not going to use selection. You will see the difference in just a second. So let's start off when we are actually not using any selection. So that's right over here because it's kind of the easier one. Let's just have a list. I don't really like the auto completion, the default auto completion, so I'm just going to type it out. We're going to have a list. Inside the list, we are going to have a for each with some data, and that is the data, and I'm binding it, you see. And then we are going to have a dollar sign. Just a second, I think I lost my train of thought over here. Yes, okay. So we are going to have that. No, sorry. Just a second. I think. Yeah, I don't think that I have the correct notes right over here. Let's just think about it because, yeah, why not? I can do it on my own without the data. Data selection. Okay, so it looks like we have a little bit of difficulties right over here, but let's just go and have this data, and then we're going to have this item right over here, item in the for each. And what we are going to have in the for each view is the cell, and as you can see, it needs to have some sort of a binding data element, and we are going to just move that item forward, so all the way up. Therefore, the role will give us back the actual item. Okay, that's on the for each. Now, because we are not using the selection, here we go, we are using the selection right over here, we can use the on move. So either we are selecting or either we are moving these cells, and you will see that when we tap on the edit button later on. So for this particular scenario, we are going to use the on move. So we just go on move, on. Oh yes, we need to set that on the for each. As you can see, even on the live, I'm just having some, where should we put it? So let's just have this perform indices and offset. And here I'm just going to say data dot move, and then from offset, that's the indices, and then to offset, that is the new offset. Great. And then we are just going to add the list row background of color dot clear, and then the list row insets dot 0 0 0 0, and then finally the list row separator dot list row separator visibility dot hidden. Okay, so this is kind of the easier one. We're just adding the on move view modifier. If we are, and we are adding the edit button, then we will be able to move accordingly. Now, if we are going to use some selection, then it's a little bit different, and let's just see how different this list will be. So we start off with the list, and we are going to have a different view initializer than the previous one. We're going to add in the data also, so data, and then we are going to have the selection. And as you can see, it's a binding of set of selection value. It's optional, but we're just going to have a $ selection IDs. So, and let me just finish this. We are going to have a $ item over here and. Okay, so it's not going to complain. Great. So why are we having the selection IDs and rather not just the selection, the binding of those data elements? Well, it turns out that this selection only is working with IDs. So these element IDs, as you can see right over here, it's a set of data, element, and ID. Now, the element, in our case, it is identifiable, so it's about this ID. Let me just go back. There we go. Okay, so now because we are using this initializer, we don't need the for each. Therefore, we can't actually add the on move, but we can do other stuff. So what we can add, first of all, is the cell and then $ item to move the item up the chain, and then just copy these three out and paste them in there. So now what we want is basically not the selection ID changes. We want to actually change the uses, sorry, not the uses selection, but the actual selections right over here. So for that, we want to listen to the changes in the selection ID. So we just add an on change of selection IDs. There we go. We are going to have an old value, new value. First of all, we are going to have we remove everything from the selection. So remove all. Then we are just going to move through the new values. So new values dot for each. We are going to have an ID. And then for that ID, I'm just going to go through all of the data. Data dot for each, there we go. We are going to have an element right over here, and if these elements, so element dot ID equals to our ID, then we are going to append that to the selection. So selection, come on, so selection dot append this new element, and the element is the one that we are in the for each. Okay, so this is how we actually populate the selection and move it up through the binding to our view from the role. Okay, and basically that's it. This is our role. Now we can use it. Let's go onto the content view. And you can see here we just have a list. So let's change that. Let's, instead of this list, let's have a role. And first of all, let's use the one with the data. Well, let's just go with the selection, and then I'm just going to change to the other one also. As you can see, we have two of them. So data, what is the data? Well, in our case, is the persons. Selection, again, we are binding the selection. It's an array of persons, as you can see. And then the cell, so you just hit right over here. Now we are going to get back this item that I was talking about, and in our case it is a person. And because we are binding right over here, I'm just going to have $ person, just like that. Let's just go with person in and a new line. Let me just see if I just move this a little bit. Can we have this? Yes, person in. There we go. Now we want to add some sort of a person. Well, we just say bindable cell person. We're just going to bind it, person. And that should be it. Let me just see what's going on. Cannot conform to view. Let's just see well, actually, first of all, I don't really like this type of initializer. That's because of Xcode. Yeah, that was the problem. Xcode did not add the proper initializer because we had all of these view modifiers added beforehand. Okay, so we have this bindable cell. So now you can see there's quite a lot over here. And let's just test it out. Let's just see if the actual binding works. So there we go, Ada and 2, 3, 4, 5. It's binding, so it's really, really nice. We have, by the way, we have a text field and a text, really straightforward on the bindable cell. And also we can edit this, and we can just go with the check marks. And as you can see, it's just down over here. Let me just see if I'm going to move this over here, or rather, let me just build and run on the simulator so you can see it even better. I don't know if I'm covering this with my head. So let's go edit, and then Bob, Ada, Claire. Here we have the selection, which is really, really nice. So what we did here is added a toolbar item of edit button and a safe area with the selection. Okay. That's with the binding, but maybe I just want to reorder all of this stuff. Well, then just don't set a selection. Let's just remove that. And you can just use the simple cell. So cell, and then just move the person down the cell. Let's just refresh the preview right over here. And there we go. By the way, it is indeed a list. Let's just hit edit right over here. I believe the preview is not really good at this. Yeah, as you can see, it's just messing things up. But because I have prepared the simulator to be ready, you will see that if I just hit edit right over here, it's just going to move things really nicely around. So Bob, Claire, Ada, as you like. And then we just hit done, the edit pops up, and then we can just scroll as intended. It's really powerful. Okay. Then, of course, we might add swipe actions. So that can be added actually on the cell. So let's just have a swipe actions. And I'm just going to select all of the properties. Now the edge, I'm going to go for the leading and then allows full swipe. That's a tongue twister. Yes to true, and then I'm going to add a button, action, and label. Well, the label, let's just have an image of system name of pencil. There we go. And then for the action, I'm just going to print out like edit and then the person's name, for example. Let's just have a person dot name. Just like that. Okay, let's check this out. So let's build and run. Yeah, I'm not going to use the canvas from here on because yeah, it's not that good just right now. So clicking right over here, edit Bob. Swiping all the way out, edit Ada. Swiping and clicking on clear. Works as expected. Great. So that's a swipe action on the leading part. Now, what if I just want to add the onDelete view modifier? You would add that on the for each view if you were using the list and a for each. But as you can see, we don't have this right over here. We are actually working with the cell. And you could also, by the way, use the swipe actions of trailing and then just add some sort of a delete functionality, which is what we are actually going to build out so you can use it much more easily. So let's just go to the role plus view. I just created an extension on the view and this function on delete title action. By default, the title is a nil optional string and an action that we want to do when we swipe on the on delete. So let's just build this out. As I told you, I would just add a swipe action. So swipe action. Let's just use again edges. This time it will be trailing, yes. Allows full swipe true. And then right over here, we're going to add another button with an action and label. Now, the action will be just with animation and then the action. There we go. That's pretty straightforward. We want to have that action be executed that we are going to give on the on delete. Okay, the label, well, if we add a title, then we should just have a text. Otherwise, let's just use a system image of the trash. So if let title, if this is not optional, and then else. So if we have a title, then just have a text. So text, and we just have that title just like that. Otherwise, then just use the image of system name trash. Okay. So now we can use this on the content view, on the swipe actions. So we could just add that after or before the swipe actions. It has to be on the cell. Okay, so let's just have this on delete. There we go. And perform. Well, let me just see. It's not actually recognizing it. Let's just see. Did I miss anything? No, this Maybe this just needs to be public, but I don't think so. On delete title. Well, most probably Xcode needs to have a build. Okay, let's start typing again. So dot on delete. No, come on Xcode. So dot on delete. There we go. So it has to be added on as well. Most probably the swipe action is returning something else than a view, not just a particular view. So on delete. We have the one with a title. Let's just choose this one. Go ahead and experiment with this. So let's just have maybe trash for the title and then the action. Well, we have to remove that person. And we are just going to have persons dot and then remove. Remember, we created this remove element extension on the array. Well, we are going to use it now. So person, there we go. And it's as simple as that. Because this will be executed with an animation, it will be really nice. So let's build and run and see how this delete functionality works right now. First of all, let's take a look at the edit. It still works. And then if I just swipe to the left, we have this trash. Really, really nice. Really great. Okay. If you want to have, let me just actually correct that. Let's just go back to the view. Right over here, we should have a role of destructive on the button because I want this to be actually red if we are on delete. So let's build and run again. Let's see that. There we go. Trash. It's just going to remove it. Also, a long swipe. There we go. Trash. Just going to delete it as expected. Okay, and one final thing that's really, really amazing. Let's just go back over here. We can actually add a refreshable. So let's just scroll all the way down. It has to be on the roll. So here is the roll ending. So I'm just going to add it maybe here. So refreshable. And then something. Well, we are just going to add a new person, for example. So let's just have persons dot append, and then let's just create a new person with a name of just call him Dean. There we go. Let's build and run one final time. There we go. Now I'm just going to refresh this. There it is. Here is the new element added, which is really, really amazing. Now, okay, we have all of this, but as I told you, you don't have to add these files into your projects over and over again. Let's create a Swift package for this. So let's just create a new file, new package, library on the multi-platform. Let's click on next, and then let's call this SwiftUI role. Okay, let's create a GitHub repository on my Mac. Let's create that. Okay, we have to also set up the iOS versions dependency. So for that, I'm just going to simply copy it out from another one. Let me just see. Yes, it's right over here. And let me just copy this out. Of course, yeah, if you want to have it in more versions, iOS 16 is fine. I believe that's when refreshable was introduced. Okay, so now under sources and SwiftUI role, let's just remove this file. Let's just move to trash. Of course, we are just going to have a warning for that. Also, let's just remove this test example. We don't need it at all. There we go. Okay, so now that we have a clean starter project, what we want to do is just actually move all of these files. So I will just show it in Finder into our project. So into the SwiftUI role folder. So from there, let me just move all of these right over there. And as you can see, all of these, I have already set these to public, which is really nice. They will be available to the public, meaning to the bundle from this package. And basically that's it. So now what I want to do is just create a repository on GitHub. So new SwiftUI remote, set this to public. Let's create that. Okay, and now just stage all the changes and commit. Let's just go for initial commit. There we go. Commit and push. Let's just push that up. And to be usable, we also want to set a tag. So I'm just going to tag this commit. Let's just go for 0.1.0. Let's create that tag. And finally, we want to push that tag up. Let's check include tags. Let's push that. And now I'm just going to view this on GitHub. There we go. And let's just grab this HTTPS. Let's go back to our initial project. And what I'm going to do is just comment out all of this code that is, for the role. And then let me just add that as a Swift package. Click on plus. From the clipboard, I'm pasting this. There we go, up to next major version, 1.0.0. It's just fetching it, adding the package. There we go. So now I can just go into the content view, and of course, role, you can't access it. We're just going to import SwiftUI role, and if everything went okay, it should be readily available. Okay, let's test this out. Let's build and run. Yes, okay, so we have an on change. Yeah, let's just, well, this is inside the SwiftUI role. Okay, what I'm going to do is just limit this to iOS 17. Otherwise, you want to have a delimiter for either iOS 17 plus or previous. Previous iOS 17 old value was not used. So let's do a new version. Well, you are actually learning how to create a new version right over here. And it's right over here. So let's just have iOS 17 and a macOS version 14. There we go. Let's stage all changes, then commit. Platform version. Okay, let's commit and push. Let's push that. Let's create a new tag now. So let's select this push and then tag that with 1.0.1. Let's create that and finally push that tag up, include tags. Okay, now the changes should be available inside GitHub, and what I have to do, either just go under File and Packages, update to latest package versions, or what I prefer is just manually just select up to next major version and just type it in, hit return, and it's just going to update it right over there. Now let's build and run. Hopefully there will not be any more errors. Build has succeeded. That's a good sign. Let's just see. There we go. It's really, really nice. Added the Dean over there. We may add it. Let's just move maybe Claire a little bit up over there. Maybe Dean also. It's all the way up to the top and done. Okay, so that's how you create a role. A list with some cool properties from the scroll view, like no UI limitations. It's really, really nice. Now, if you do want to learn SwiftUI more and in depth, go ahead and check out the link in the description for a 50% off of SwiftUI Camp. There are a few days remaining. I believe 5 days. We are just starting off. Go ahead, don't miss a SwiftUI Camp, Mastering SwiftUI in 4 weeks. The link again is down in the description.